Hi friends, Lindsay here from Lux Leather Revival, where I am brand agnostic but loyal to the leather. So today I have an exciting tutorial for you on how to clean some vintage coach bags. Now, I've been in the vintage coachy community for many years now, and I know the favorite leather conditioner, and it says cleaner as well, but it is leather CPR. I've used it on a few of my vintage coach bags, but I will say it feels like it leaves a film, a little shininess that wasn't there before, and a slickness. It's hard to say exactly or put into words the feeling, but what I end up using this on is actually furniture because it will rub in with the clothing and usage and not have that slickness, but I don't use it on my handbags, so we're gonna set that aside. What I do use is Saphir, and Saphir is the same brand that Hermes uses in their spas. So I have multiple specialized Saphir leather conditioners. I've got one for the reptile skins. I've got one for Napa that's also for ostrich. So this is the general all-purpose cowhide conditioner, and that's what these are. These are smooth, no grain, vintage coach bags made from full grain cowhide, and they are just workhorses. This one, let me get all the stuffing out and tell you what year it's from. This is from the year 2000. So the model number for anyone who likes this style of bag is 9164. It comes with a crossbody length strap, and it utilizes buckles and grommets. So this is like any buckle you would do on your belt, but it allows you to have 4 adjustments on either side. So it's like 8 adjustments in total. Has a very generous interior pocket with a long zipper pocket on the back wall that goes the whole width of the bag. Or yeah, width. It's like length, width. The outside compartments that don't have a closure at all, there's no magnet, there's no zipper or button, anything. They just, your stuff stays in because the bag stays upright. And these are this side is suede, which is the back of this, and then this part is full leather, which then you've got the back suede here. So Coach uses what they call, or what is known as, full grain leather. They're using as much of the full hide as possible. They're not sanding down that top layer to give it a more uniform look and then stamping it. You guys, I have to tell you, I have a bit of maybe it's an unpopular luxury handbag opinion, but it's a very popular leather lover opinion, and that is stamped leathers are not for me. If I can avoid them, if it's a style and function that I absolutely love, maybe I will make an exception, but I tend to stay away, steer clear. Saffiano, Epsom, so Saffiano is Prada, Epsom is Hermes, anything that says it's hardy and kind of waterproof, it's because when they stamp that texture into it, they're also stamping in a plastic sealant. And so it does make it hardier. You're basically carrying around a plastic bag and you can't even feel the leather that's underneath. And the leather that is underneath, that stamping and the plastic coating, tends to be lower quality leather, and that's why they use it. They shave off the top, they sand it down, they stamp it, and now you've got less leather, and they tend to not use as much of the lower levels of the hide as well. So you get thinner, you've got more backing or facing material inside to give that bag structure, etc. So I love vintage coach bags. There is no backing. This is 100% pure leather. And it's gorgeous. All of the corners have piping. They're not edge coated. It's just like, oh, and piping, for anyone who doesn't know, is a small piece of leather that's sewn over the edge of the leather to finish it. So it's leather on leather on leather, and it's fabulous. And for people who are newer to Coach and they're surprised to see Coach rising in popularity and their prices coming up a bit higher into what you would consider like Louis Vuitton, maybe from a few years ago, their prices have gone insane lately, but Louis Vuitton levels, and I'm not surprised at all. As someone who was a teenager in the 90s, I would walk through Coach stores unable to buy anything because I didn't have any money. I had my own job, but that was just enough to pay for gas and some clothes at the thrift store. But I just adored their leather. I would go in and touch it. I consider myself a bag toucher. The whole experience for me with handbags is not just how does it look, how much does it fit, and how does it lay on my body when I wear it. It's very much a tactile experience for me. The more luxurious the leather, the more I'm in love with the piece. So anyway, Coach has always had, and they don't still technically have this quality. So let me not say always had. In the past, 70s, 80s, 90s, they had incredible quality leather. I have not found a single brand to beat them. Although I will say that new brand that I showed you guys, the Gallery Sling 4 that I have two. One is in the Tiffany blue and one is in this and that one's calfskin. The other one is in this pebbly looking, but it's smooth lambskin, and it's kind of gray and speckled looking. I also have a hobo that converts to a backpack in one simple movement from them that's also cowhide, like the Tiffany blue sling, and it's incredible, and I have to show you guys that. So their leathers are amazing. You should definitely go check them out, and they are a fraction of the cost of a Coach bag. So definitely get on that while their prices are still low before they get huge in the space of functional, gorgeous leather bags. Anyway, back to Coach, and what we're doing here is we are cleaning and conditioning this bag, which was painted by a very talented artist. Let me bring it closer so you can see the fishbone detail, because I'm going to show you how I condition away these scratches, and I'm gonna get my face out of it. Maybe all along here is dry and full of fingernail scratches. Wow. So here we go. Give it a good shaking. Again, this is the Saphir Creme Universelle. Of course, it's probably French, so I'm pronouncing it horribly. But you can apply it any way you like, but my preference is to put it on my hand like I would hand lotion and then work it in. So I will be filming this in two parts because I personally like to give my leather conditioner a full day to soak in. That's probably not necessary, but I think it's worth it, and I'm never in that big of a rush with my bags that I can't let them sit for one day with their conditioner. So I've gotten a good amount there, and we're just gonna condition the entire back because it's an older bag and it looks like it may never have been conditioned. We're also really gonna hit the piping on the bottom corners. And I also took close-up photos of this with my phone, but just to show you, here on this front corner, it is dry. And so there's no leather missing, it is just dryness. So that will come all the way back to life. And a big part of the reason why this one is here and also getting conditioned for this video is to talk about the difference between neutral colored leathers and reconditioning them and what to expect when you see it in rough shape. I will show you, let's see which one of these edges is the worst. Probably this one. So do you see this lighter color right here? Let me get my face out so it focuses. So what they do, what most companies, when I say most companies working with leather, when they want a pastel color or something really vibrant, they have to start with, similar to how you put color in your hair, like a bleach. So I haven't looked up what the process is to remove as much natural color as possible from the hide before they put a color onto it. But that is something to consider. So Hermes, my bright colored Magnolia Mini Lindy, when I bought it from the Real, of course, their shipping process leaves so much to be desired. But it was in way too big of a box for it, which it was an Hermes box, but it was not a Mini Lindy Hermes box. It was probably a Birkin or something larger that originally came in it. So it was too big. They didn't put the dust bag on it. I don't remember if it came with its dust bag or not, but they didn't put one on it. They just left it loose inside the Hermes bag, and in transit, there are marks on the bottom where leather was worn, not leather, but color was worn off. And what you see underneath it is a much lighter color, almost a cream white color. So when you put conditioner on leather that is a lighter color and the base of the leather itself is actually super light, maybe a cream, maybe a super light tan or a white, you're not going to be able to bring the color back with conditioner. Unfortunately, that color has been removed. It's not the natural color of the leather. It doesn't stick in the leather as well or go as deep as some of these darker neutral colors. So for people who, and I'm gonna go ahead and lotion right over the painting. For people who love their bright colors like me, but they also love their super soft leathers, most often you will have better longevity and also usually a softer hand feel from the start with a black bag or a dark brown bag. When I'm conditioning a bag, I like to do the whole thing where the leather is. You know, if it's a bag that's got fabric, obviously I'm not lotioning the fabric, and for suede interiors, I'm obviously trying not to get any of the leather conditioner on the suede because that would mess up the nap, the little tufts of fiber, skin fiber that are sticking up. That's what suede is, you know, the underside of the hide. And that part is, can be, I shouldn't say is, can be super soft. Yeah. I'm going to go on my diatribe again briefly here that I try my best to avoid any handbags that have microfiber or PU leather. It doesn't always work out. We saw in my verified New York where I didn't pay close enough attention to the details. I honestly looked at the price and knowing that they were a younger company, thought, okay, this price is in line with high quality for a newer brand that's trying to break into the market, but that was not the case with that one. So we're looking pretty good. You're gonna see once you put the lotion on, it looks a bit matte from what it did before. And we'll come back, and when this has had 24 hours to soak in, we will then buff it. Now, talking about the light colored leathers and the under part being this almost white color. So little backstory on this bag. I bought this, oh, it's from, let me tell you first, let me get all my stuffing out. Okay. So this is from 2002. And it looks very similar to the taxi totes that folks are loving right now from Coach. And those are in canvas. And I've heard it's a very soft, supple, thin, lightweight canvas. But for anyone who's interested in getting the same silhouette and functionality, but in leather, this is a great option. This is the smaller top handle version. They also make one with a, I believe it's a slightly larger body and then much longer straps so that you can wear it on your shoulder. But yeah, I wore this bag to my 10-year high school reunion in 2008. So I know I've had it at least that long, but I definitely bought it pre-loved. So as an early 20-something young professional, when I started having some extra money for fun, I was spending it on eBay on these, you know, Coach pre-loved items that I couldn't afford to buy brand new when they came out. So that is a little story on this. I'm actually before I condition this one, I'm going to clean the handles, and let me show you their current state. So they're a little bit grungy, and that's probably my own grunge, as well as this is my own wear. I will be right back with the Lexol leather wipes, my favorite cleaning tool. Now, there is a much more comprehensive cleaner. If you've got a bag that doesn't just have surface dirt, let's say it's got something nasty that someone spilled on it, or yeah, I think it's really only good for surface dirt. It's not going to work on stains, and that is saddle soap. So saddle soap is something I have not tried yet, but I have spoken with Sam of Bargain Hunting Blonde, and she actually has, I don't know if it's a horse or multiple horses, but she keeps her saddles nice with specific products, and I want to talk to her about that. And in fact, I've pitched her and Elaine from Fairly Curated to have a monthly podcast where we all talk about our cleaning experiences, things that worked, things that failed, give you guys tutorials on how to do it yourself, etc. So stay tuned. Hopefully that will become a thing. Sam is a corporate attorney, and she is flying around a lot right now for business, so that is our holdup, I believe. So hopefully in the future, Sam and I and Elaine will have this awesome podcast where we can share our knowledge and experience and also experiment live on camera. And that's why these guys are out here, because I wanted to show you. I bought these so that I could try cleaning them up. This is a Berenia Burn card holder, and I'll open it fully for you. There you go. So this has Milo lambskin back here, and then this is Berenia. And what Berenia leather is a specialty leather that is so gorgeous. What Hermes does to prepare it is it gets wiped down with a specific type of oil several times to lock in the gorgeous moisture of the Berenia leather. So I looked up how to clean Berenia leather, and of course Hermes suggests don't do it. But this guy is a little dry where the bends happen with the fold. So, and it's, you know, it's really well loved. It's got some surface dirt, but maybe not a whole lot. I'd say mostly right there along that edge. So we'll see. I'm going to keep looking into it a bit more, but then I am going to go at this because I would love to have an experience. And if I have a successful experience, I'd love to share that with you guys on what products work. Ugh, my hands are full of leather conditioner from the first bag here that we're letting dry. So I'm trying not to touch this too much, but this is a Dogon wallet in nubuck leather. So if you haven't experienced nubuck, and then Milo lambskin, nubuck is like suede, but suede is the backside of leather. Nubuck is a process of sanding the top of the leather, not the backside, to make it feel soft and give it this gorgeous look and feel. So I love, love, love nubuck leather. And this one, I was showing you the front, which is not terrible, but the back side, you can see here, we've got something white and dry. And then let's see if I can catch the shine. This shiny stuff down here is also surface dirt that is matting down the nap of the nubuck. So I'm very excited to give both of those a try on camera for you guys so you can see what happens. I've cleaned nubuck before. I have the tools from Coach from the 90s that I showed you guys in a previous video, a brush and an eraser for suede / nubuck. And it is highly likely that a good part of that soil will come out of that nubuck. So stay tuned for that. Coming back to our little friend here, I felt like just the handles needed a little cleaning. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is something that I want to learn, which is peeling off or removing old edge coating that has peeled, cracked, is coming off itself, and give it a fresh coat of edge paint so that it will go on living its life a much longer time. And as I'm looking this over, okay. So the only edge coating on this bag is the handles and then the part on the body that is holding the buckle for the handles. Everything else, and which by everything else I mean this top opening and this pocket top, are piped. So they've got the little piece of leather over the top to finish the edge of the leather. So we're going to put our sapphire on one corner and I'll show you, it will darken the corner. Let me go with the worst one. But it won't bring back the blue. So you'll see it'll just be darker. And I'm okay with it. Like I've said in a couple other videos, I think we could all learn to accept things and love them for how they are and their bumps and their bruises, especially when we're the ones who gave them to them. Or they are potentially bumps and bruises from a previous owner that allowed us to get it at a fabulous price, and then we clean it up and minimize the look of the wear. But then we get to wear it as much as we want without worry, as long as the weather's, you know, favorable, which I live in San Diego, so I get to carry my leather bags a lot, which I'm very grateful for. But yeah, you can use it and not worry as much about it getting its first scratch or its first wear mark or its first amount of dirt because it's already got it. And that's one of the things I love about pre-loved bags. It's also really fun to find stuff that isn't in stores anymore. People aren't carrying right now. They've maybe even forgotten about, and you wear it and they're just like, whoa, that's cool. You're bringing some unique personal style into the world instead of wearing what everyone else is wearing. And I know I'm telling you guys a year and I'm just looking inside the bag. So what Coach has done in the past, and they've continued this on, started in 1994. Coach started, instead of putting a random registration number on their story creed, let me get my face out of there so it can focus. They started putting a year in the first numbers before the dash, and then the dash is the model number. So you can decode, and actually I have received a really helpful one-pager from a friend who runs her own Facebook group called Vintage Coach Eye Candy, I believe. And so it tells you that, let's see if I'm on camera, yep. So this first letter is the month of the year that it was made. The second is the year, and they started in 1994. So a 4 is 94. This example is showing a 5, so that would be 1995. Once they rolled over to 2004, then it says 04. Okay, so this one has a 2, and that means since 92, we weren't using these numbers yet. The 2 by itself without a 0 in front of it is for 2002. So once you got back to 2004, then instead of a 4, you have 04, and it goes on from there. So that is how you decode that. I will put a link to Vintage Coach Eye Candy Facebook group down below, and you can request to join. Okay, so I've put conditioner on, and you can see it looks brown, not blue, again, because it darkened and it was a light color, like a almost cream color, where the color wore off. And that is, you know, like I said, these bags need to go through a process to lighten them up dramatically before the color is put on. So that's just going to be the way it is when you rub the corners on bright or light colored bags. Now, if it's a white bag and, you know, it rubs, then it'll just be a little darker. But what you really want to go for, if you're a leather purist and it doesn't bother you that you don't have colors in your collection, black is your safest, or a dark brown. So Coach bags are insanely soft, and all of them, even if they have color, feel great. But I will say, for, let's say, oh, good example right here. Okay, So this is my, and I'll take this extra strap off. It is very extra. It is fox fur, but also Fendi. It's got the fun little clips. But anyway, so I went into a Fendi when these launched because I was so enamored with the shape and the functionality. And I touched them. I touched the display models and they were insanely soft. And then I sourced this one off of a Japanese auction site, and I was disappointed when it arrived because, number one, it had not been used. So it was not broken in like the display models. And it was just kind of meh. So it's lambskin. I should have mentioned that. And the lambskin on the ones that were on display in Fendi that everyone was touching were buttery, super buttery in all the colors. Now, when I got this one and I was like, man, I'm disappointed in the feel, I did bring so much softness to it just by rubbing it. And this is going to sound really weird, but while I'm watching TV in the evening, I would just massage it, you know, back and forth, kind of like you would do with sandpaper, but it was just my fingers. So I have pretty dry hands, but they're not dry, they're just lacking in oils and sweat, which is really cool for things like playing the flute like I did in middle school and high school, or conditioning or bringing softness rather from usage, in this case massaging. Lambskin with no product, just my hands, but regardless. When you are choosing your handbag, if softness is the most important thing to you, try to go for a dark natural color. It will have the least amount of processing to it, the least amount of dyes put into it, and it will be the most satisfactory tactile experience of the colors that you can choose. So I'm going to pause the video here. I will come back tomorrow and film myself buffing these so you guys can see the final effects. And we're back, and it's the next day. So I have this little guy that we conditioned second, and I can show you before we buff it. Like I mentioned, the color is not going to come back. Let me hide my face so it focuses. So it will still help the leather last longer, so where it won't get worn away if you keep conditioning it and take good care of it. So it's okay with me that the color's not going to come back. I love it the way it is, but I do want to give it its longest life possible. Here is the fish bag again, and let me find where it's easiest to see. Maybe this corner here. So even though it conditioned and it sat overnight, it's still a bit light gray here instead of black. And then the same with this corner. Sorry, the bag fell over because I don't have any stuffing in it. I just took it out. I did keep them stuffed while they were drying with their conditioner, so I just took it out for the video. So what I can already tell from this one is I'm going to want to hit these corners that are still looking a bit dry with another product called Black Rock. So I will just show you guys what it looks like with buffing. And then I will buff all of it and then come back. So that way you guys aren't sitting here waiting for me to buff the whole bag. But already we're getting that shine back. So I'm going to pause, buff the full bag. This one I think we've shown pretty well what I wanted to show, so just for keeping things tight, I'm going to just talk about this bag. I'll show you how to put the Black Rock on, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I've buffed the full bag. It's looking great. I will say some of this area up here that I showed in the first part of the video where it had dryness and some fingernail scratches, it could still use a little bit more moisture. I can still see hints of those scratches right along this spot. So I will also hit that with Black Rock. Here is what that looks like. Directions: use sparingly, and they are not kidding. Remove excess dirt using fingertips. Apply a small amount of Black Rock into the leather article. Small, small, small. This is a product that you want to use very lightly because it is very heavy. So it can focus. It smells kind of like rubber cement is the closest thing I can say. So I will just take the smallest dab and I'll show you what that looks like on my finger. And that is what I'm going to use to work into these corners. So let me come closer so I can show you specifically what I'm doing here. So that little bit that was on my finger is fully coating that lighter part that was dry. So this corner is what I did. So there's this gray corner. Hopefully it's looking gray under these lights. I did invest in a second softbox from the first part of the video, so it's probably even more brightly lit this time. I'm hoping that that will be good for it. So now that gray has disappeared. What you want to do after you've put it on is take a microfiber towel and just wipe off any excess. So that is how you use black rock, and I'll put, you know, when I'm off camera, I'll do the rest of the bag. All right, so I have taken the liberty of putting black rock all around the corners. This was that one that I showed you in the beginning that was really dry. And then we'll look at the back. And do you remember how dry and gray this upper part was? And now it's beautiful and hydrated. It could probably use another hydrating in like a month. It never hurts to just stop, let the leather rest, and then go back in a little bit later and give it more conditioner. You don't want it to be tacky to the touch, but I wanted to share that with you guys because these Coach bags are absolutely incredible. I just can't say enough good things about them. And for anyone out there collecting, happy hunting, and I hope that you find my videos useful.